Hello, and welcome to another episode where I get to feature the most amazing woman who I get to call friends, peers, um, who have been part of my journey. And I really wanted to bring, real stories, real women who have created, in my eyes, these incredible movements who are touching, from their heart, from their womb, from who they be in this world and building movements and really hear their stories of what makes them legendary. So I'm so delighted to bring Miss Libby Robertson to the Legendary Woman podcast today. And do you want to do like a quick intro? Just like a really quick.
Do we have to? No, no.
We don't have to.
I just,
I'm
I
just
just.
like,
Are we gonna go forward? Okay, no, no. I want to express so much gratitude to you as well, and for anyone listening, obviously you're a big fan of Kezia, and when I came online, 7 years ago, and when you're starting out online and you're like, what is this? Who is this? And I think I connected with you pretty early. It's been a couple of years, hasn't it? And I saw you, I'm like, who's this woman? She is amazing. Like, she is unleashed. She is unreal. Like, she is so badass. And I love, like, we did some mentor, I, worked with you for a little bit as well, which was super, super supportive for me in showing up online without the mask, that I think you do really well. So to be here and having this conversation feels like such a cool moment for me. You were someone that I saw as inspiration, it's and still do, such a vibe, such an amazing woman. So thanks for this conversation. Thanks for today. Yeah.
I'm really
Is that
excited. So my first, no,
intro?
go. So my first question to you is, where is it? Where is my questions? I'm trying to bring a little bit of just gonna real talk here, which is what I do. A little bit more structure to my podcasts. I'm just like, there's some key points I really want to get. So could you, it's just an edge for me just to bring a bit more structure.
Love it.
So my first question is, what is the first moment you realized you were born to live differently than the rest of the world expected you to? That pivotal moment.
Mm, mm. Probably like you and like everyone listening, I have my whole entire life felt different. I have always felt like I needed to do something or be someone to get attention because I was never comfortable with whatever anyone else was doing. And I think back to being a child and being at school and everyone was doing this one class and that's just what everyone did. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. Or everyone's going to the university. I'm not going to go to Otago. I'm going to go to Christchurch and Canterbury. And now I look at life and I look at leadership, and we've got successful companies, and I think that's from my experience, every single successful entrepreneur feels that way. Like, we came here to change it. We came here to lead in a different way. We came here to change the paradigm and change the conversation. And so knowing that we're different or feeling different is part of our human experience, because entrepreneurship is the only calling that we're ever going to feel like we're living the path that we are meant to, it's not even fit in, but forge our own way in the way that's most aligned to us.
And how has that been for you? Like, I know for myself, I did a post about it yesterday in the forging our own way. Like, what are the edges and,
Mm.
shit that you've had to face in forging our own way?
Yeah, well, so today is the, as we record this, it's the 30th of January
25.
2025. Thank you. Today marks 9 years. Today's actually the anniversary of my soberversary. And 9 years ago, I found myself in a hospital. I had a neck brace on. The nurse that was in the room was shining a torch in my eyes, and she was telling me that it was a miracle that I was alive. And I looked around the room, there's doctors and there's nurses, and my parents are there. And I'm trying to work out what's happened. And at that point, I had been a massive partier. I had a big drinking problem. I was terrible with money. I spent everything that I had on clothes, on shopping, on partying, on drugs, on alcohol. It was quite often that I would spend my entire paycheck. I'd get paid on a Thursday night at midnight, go out to the ATM, get everything out that I'd just been paid, pay it to my drug dealer, and then have to borrow money for the rest of the week to be able to live for the week. And that moment in the hospital bed 9 years ago, when I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? This isn't the life that I know that I'm here for. I know that I'm here for so much more. And alcohol had been the only thing up until then that I could use to, what I didn't know at the time, to escape from the pain and to numb from the pain. I'd been raped when I was 14, and that was my first sexual encounter, and that was how I lost my virginity, and that fucked me up as a young woman, as you know, being raised in a Christian family and then being raised with an abusive father, and a lot of, you know, not good shit happening in the household. And you know, I mean, Christians on the surface, it's, you know, positive and it's happy and be good to everyone else, put on a face, and then behind the scenes there's, you know, just stuff I would never wish for my own family happening. So that moment 9 years ago was the moment when I'm like, what, like, what is this about? What am I doing here? I survived for a reason. I'm here for a reason. Let me figure it out. And I had this moment of surrender where I was in the hospital bed, and I tried to quit drinking before, but I knew this time was different. Like, it was literally now for me life or death. And so I said, God, help me. What am I meant to do from here? Like, I can't do this alone. And I handed over everything that I knew, the identity about being a party girl, this story where I'd been stuck in this depression and this, you know, the eating disorders that then came as a result of that as well. If I wasn't drinking, I was eating and throwing up my food, and sleeping around and cheating on every boyfriend that I ever had. And I'm like, this has got to stop. Like, this is not who I am. This is not who I'm designed to be. And so healing from that and discovering, like, who the fuck am I without all of these identities, without all of these things, and waking up every single day and just praying, asking. I mean, it sounds easy when you talk about it, but I know full well that you walk through the fire. And I know this has been a big week for you as well, from your stories that you've been sharing. But it's like, we walk through the fire and we show up through it. And you know, those moments when you're on your knees and you're praying for help because you have no idea what's next, and you have no idea how you're going to get through this because you don't know that your human strength is enough. Those moments where you let the universe and your team and spirit move through your whole body and take over your life for the best. It's like, that's the recipe for miracles. So that's the short version.
We would have to be here for 100,000 years to go through it all. And you know, in regards to your situation, like, and what has happened to you, do you still feel like anger about that?
No, no, I'm grateful. And that sounds so wild to anyone that's not walked through it. But I know you're listening to the Legendary Woman podcast. Like, you've got an attitude of being so grateful for the blessings that you've got in your life. And without it, you know, without going through the adversities that we do, everyone's got a story. You know, like, Kezia, you're such a beautiful example of that. The way that you walk and the way that you lead and the way that you show up with so much resilience and authenticity. And you know, it helps us to remember that we don't have to be, we don't have to have it all together. Like, we're all going to walk through things, and those moments that crack us open, that's the darkness that we've been carrying, not just in our life but in our lineage. And we get to heal that, and we get to open up so much and receive so much of the magic because of that darkness. We get to crack open and shift generations because we're willing to do that. And I'll always be grateful for that. You know, it's, yeah. How about you? Do you hold on to resentment or?
I think my body, you know, is, as you know, with, like, you know, anyone who does sort of trauma, you know, work and trauma release, you know, that I think my body still remembers part of it, although my subconscious mind might not, like, think that there is. I think my body still, and I think I've noticed it more that than now I have children,
Mm,
because you really go into a lot more situations where your, like, subconscious patterning is, like, can come out really strong. You know, I'm like, oh fuck, I can't believe I'm that. I never thought I'd be that sort of mother, you know. But when your capacity of this body is, like, feeling so overwhelmed, I do feel like there's still parts of anger within me, but I I also have learnt to love the darkness as well. You know, we always talk about in my programs, The Legendary Woman, it's like to not weaponize the parts of us that we shame. It's just like, and to actually then turn that darkness into my magic and into my fire, you know. And I see that within you as well. It's like, you know, like, these are the pieces that actually are like the fucking like crawling out of the pits of hell to create and birth what we're here to do.
Totally. Yeah, that's the energy. That's the energy. It's interesting, eh? Because I feel like rage is always something that I dealt with, and there's still a few things that will happen in my life where the response, if I'm not aware, is to go straight into that rage state. You know, we laugh because every single house that my husband and I have lived in together has got a hole in the wall from me like punching it or throwing a phone or something like this, and I'm like, we've just moved, so not this house, please. Like, please, can I be done with that thing? Right. But it's like that, whenever I'm in those states, and even recently something happened, it's like conflict for me is a really, especially when it's unjust conflict or someone, you know, judgment or an unfair kind of conflict. That's still for me. And Dane said to me recently, he goes, yeah, babe, get angry. Like he knows that when I'm angry and I'm really pissed off, we make a lot of money, like as a result of it.
Yes,
Use
I
that,
love it.
use that fire.
Yeah. And there's just literally nothing wrong with it. I think, you said something before. I'm like, we need to just stop shaming. And, I know you're a stand for feminine leadership and leadership, women are our genius. We need to stop shaming those parts of us that like sometimes are using our shadows and our trauma to create what we want.
Totally. We're artists. You know,
Exactly.
we're alchemists, you know, it's literally what it is. It's like we transmute any shit and we make magic from it. It's what we are. It's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask you because I know recently, and I think, what is that saying? It's like every billionaire goes broke once. And I think every entrepreneur faces arrows. I just think I do think, I mean, although I'm a stand for easy business, but I think that every entrepreneur as they grow is going to face levels of arrows because it's a test of your leadership. And I know recently you went through like some really public arrows. So can you tell us about it?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Give
yeah.
us the juice.
It's I feel like it's honestly still happening, and I feel like every time that you rise, one of my mentors, Regan, she once said like some shit was happening, but it was the year that I doubled my revenue, and it's like crazy shit's happening. She's like, yeah, it's just the reveal. Like as you enter the new frequency, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Every time now, where it's like you're just putting out fires, especially in relationships, right? And I feel like every time that you rise and you shine so much brighter, you know, for me, I got this email a couple of months ago and it was from this journalist and I'm sitting on the couch and it's a Tuesday. So I don't really work on it or a Tuesday's like my flow day. So sometimes I work, sometimes I don't. And I'm just meditating, I'm doing my thing in the morning. And I open my emails and I get this email from this journalist and it's, hi Libby, two girls have reached out to me and they're saying that they paid you thousands and got little in return. When's the best time to call you? And then her name from like the main thing and main media place in New Zealand. And I'm reading this and my heart starts racing and my palms go sweaty. My stomach's in my chest and I'm like, who, what, why? Like, I give my heart and my soul to my work. Who on earth would pull this shit? Like, what the fuck? Like, this is. And then I went into, you know what? I'm grateful this has happened because this means that I'm reaching my next level. Like there is a frequency that I have been manifesting, right? I'm sitting there manifesting my 9-figure business and my dream life. And I come out of this meditation. Of course, I get this opportunity to see my blind spots and go, where can I up level my leadership? How would the next level version of me handle this? Well, here is what she would do. She would face it head on. I don't have to speak to the journalist, but actually I'm going to use my voice and I'm going to stand up for myself because that's not something I used to do.
Yeah.
And so I went through this process and I'm documenting it the whole time. And when you go through stuff like that and people are trying to put your name through the ringer or drag your name through the trash, you know, your people are always going to be more on board with you when you do that. Like I'm sharing it and still the article still hasn't come out. Like I reckon the whole situation, I don't, maybe it has, maybe it was so small that I didn't see it, I'm not sure. But the whole process of it has been really interesting. And your people will come on board with you and they'll see how you're leading through moments of that. And I've been open with the community. I've said like, I don't know what's happening, this is what's going on, this is what I'm walking through, here is my perspectives. And then it took me on this journey of deeper forgiveness, of expanding into more abundance. And of course, we went on to have our biggest year. Like, of course, we went on to have more success. Of course, more clients fall out of the sky. Of course, then more fans come into your world. Like, of course, Yeah.
And I think that's like, I mean, as a coach and stuff, like we don't have to share anything.
Mhm.
And, there's such a like, I get so yawn boring about it around being the authority, not sharing. And obviously you can choose to share however you want to, but I do love that you shared that part. And I think there's a real, to me, part of being a legendary woman is your full authenticity. And people like, I use the Trump example, like I don't agree with a lot of things that Trump does, but you know what? It's the lesser, at least Trump tells the truth. At least
Yeah.
he reveals all fucking parts of himself rather than keeping his shit in the shadows.
That gold.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, look, it's Trump, God, but in terms of leadership, like, I'd rather know that, like, someone's like, revealing all of themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And putting it, I think, I mean, you do that so well as well, Kezia. Like, I think that's why your people, everyone just loves you so much. You're just like, here's who I am, love me or not, but this is who I fucking am. And it's brilliant, right? It's so refreshing. And I think that's what people are looking for in leaders now. And I think we're going to see, and I'm not sure about, you've probably got some beliefs on this as well. I really think that in the coaching industry, we're going to see the rising of those that are willing to put themselves on the line, and that looks like pioneering way, a new way of being, that looks like saying things that are controversial or unconventional, or mainstream media is going to look at and rip it apart and tell you that it's bullshit, and but that's what it takes to lead in this way. And being messy as we do it, being not perfect as we do it, it's part of it.
Was there a moment where you felt like your business went from being like, I know the service aspect is always there, but where is there a moment where you felt like your business really transcended into like deep service, where it was like my own desires, of course desires are necessary, but I feel like there's a part of the journey, and you've been, in this work now for a long time, where like spirit and service is now the CEO.
It's interesting because I feel like for me, I started my business with that energy. So I left a really successful career in corporate, and I was doing a good job. I was helping people, I was teaching, and I had this idea to start a blog. It was nearly 2 years sober at the time, and I wanted to share what I'd been doing. And I was in that moment because I just walked through, the last 2 years of creator, guide me, show me, where do you want me. My
Mm.
responsibility became listening to that. And so when the guidance then said, leave your job, take a pay cut for a little while and leave the cushiness of that because there is more in store for you, I found that there was probably 2019, I'd started to make a lot of money online and have a lot of success, that I started to be more ego driven. But that year, that was actually the two of the people that then sent the complaint to media, they it was all in 2019. It was a tough year. And 2020 was a tough year for most people. I went through mine in 2019. Like, by the time 2020 came around, I'd realigned back to service because I'd drifted from it. I'd made it ego driven. I'd used my success to create more ego driven success, realized that shit was blowing up, and not in a good way. It was messy and it was not fun. And so I brought myself back into just deep, okay, where do you want me? And it's meant it for me, and I'd love to hear what you've gone through with this as well. For me, it's meant that I feel like I'm going a little bit slower than some of my peers, and it's meant that things seem like they're taking longer, or like I'm not quantum leaping at the same rate that I see a lot of people who start a business after me. And I have been in such a deep process of surrender about that. And actually, coming into this year has been very much releasing any ego driven goals. Like, about New Year's Eve, just before New Year's Eve, I woke up in the morning and I was getting ready to do my normal New Year's Eve processes and manifesting for the year and tuning into spirit and getting my vision for the year and the guidance as I was putting my feet on the floor in the morning and walking to the ensuite and brushing my teeth. I just heard it drop in. Do not set any goals this year. Like, we've got you and we have something in store for you that the energy that I got from that was like, where you're going, you've never been before, and doing more of the same isn't going to get you to where you're going. So let it go. Let us guide you. I've got goosebumps as I'm speaking into this, and we've got you from more. So I've gone through this deeper level of trust and faith, and it's scary because I don't, for the first time, have a plan of what I'm doing next quarter. I don't have a plan of what I'm doing in 4 months from now, or even next month, right? It's like one day at a time, waiting for the guidance and then taking action on that.
Yeah, I love that so much.
Yeah. How about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I something I've been I don't know if you follow Shoshana Raven, I'm sure you do. Um, Something she said just was really like getting into my souls with how I feel. Is like she's like, I don't need to manifest, I just manifest with the raw material that's in front of me every single day and every single moment. It's like, have you read the Surrender Experiment book?
Haven't, no.
It's a great book. I mean, it's, but and for anyone that's listening, it's a really great, easy read that you'll just be like, whoa. He basically goes, he's sick of his corporate job. He goes and lives in this land, and he's like, I'm not gonna push or be in action towards anything, but anything that comes my way, I'm gonna say yes to. And
Cool.
it's like all these people just started turning up on his land, these opportunities, and he was just like, I'm just letting life come to me. And he goes on to be this like tech billionaire genius. It's a great book. um but yeah, I kind of feel like that now. It's just, I think I'm so grateful for like, and especially the last few years and all of my story, like all of the shit that's ever happened to me, because every single time, no matter how bad it's gotten, I've always been supported. Like I've never not gone without. And so when you start to live in this new found place of certainty, it's like you just start to let go a little bit more of what it should look like and how much money you're making. Because ultimately, especially for us, like, fulfillment is the ultimate goal. And, like my whole ethos is getting rich doing what you love, from every single aspect, from how you work out to how you love to how you fuck to how you raise your kids. It's like prosperity in the finite. And it's so, yeah, I just feel like I just keep getting out of the way, and life just is manifesting for us. And honestly, we just have to keep opening our heart to love.
Yeah, that's literally it. I had just on that, but thank you for sharing. That's so
Hopefully.
beautiful. So cool.
I love that it's a bit about me. So
I
like,
love it. It's, yeah, I know you just, the just as you were speaking, I had this funny memory or this interesting thought of, how I don't know, when I'm super in like the goal season and the hardcore, and I loved your post you did the other day about Grant Cardone's 10x, don't get me started, and a little giggle at that. It's like, and I you're so attached to the numbers. Like, what am I on for the month? What am I on for the quarter? What have I got to do to 10x that'll grow that? And I had this awareness maybe about a year ago, and I was thinking about something. I'm like, what did I do in June 2021 in terms of my income? I can't fucking remember. Like, if you can't remember only a couple of years later, it didn't fucking matter back then in the first place. So stop being so attached to it. Like, yeah, just wanted to share that because that dropped in.
yeah, so true. Because yeah, the fulfillment's got to be the baseline, I think.
Exactly,
And then
exactly,
everything else just happens after that.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so good. So I want to know, what is your movement? What is the legacy? What is the mission that through walking through these dark nights of the soul, like, what are you here to create?
So my brand is called Paradigm, and the reason is because I believe that that's what we are all experiencing right now. Is the greatest paradigm shift of our time. And I believe that life is a miracle. I believe that we are so blessed to be here on earth. I believe that we are so fortunate to experience this human reality, to be able to walk down to the beach and feel our toes in the sand and the beautiful water and the sun on our skin and breathe in that ocean air and experience relationships and delicious food and making love and receiving love. And it's just such a cool experience. And if there was one thing that I want for humanity, is for every single person to experience that. And
Mm.
that is the positive approach that I have to combating addiction, suicide, depression, eating disorders, all these things that we see as epidemics in society, I believe can be solved through a spiritual solution. I believe that the antidote is spirituality. And so I believe that in whatever I do, whether I go on, I'm going through the shift right now of really seeing myself as this serial entrepreneur, CEO, boss woman. It's like it's so strong. And I really believe that with any business that I create, the mission that I personally stand for is, let me be an example to someone out there. I don't care whether it's because it got sober, or whether you relate with a business that I've created, or my marriage that I've got. Like every part of my life, and this is what prayer that I have, and I wish everyone could live in this way, because it's beautiful, it's fulfilling, is use me. Creator, use me. How do you want to use me? And let me be the example, let me have the impact, let me be of service in the way that you have in store for me. And if I was to put it into one word, it would simply just be happiness. I just want everyone to be friggin' happy. I have so much to be happy for.
It's really beautiful, my love. Thank you for sharing. And how do you see that rippling into your own? I know there's talk of you having your own family one day.
Yep, hopefully.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's it as well. Like I believe that the work that we do is going to impact generations to come, and whether it's through my book or through podcasts or through speaking on stages or courses, ultimately I want the work that we're doing and the healing that's taking place as we're speaking or as we're doing the deep dive kind of work, is to impact future generations in ways that are going to be felt generations beyond that, and create a lasting impact, again, essentially for more happiness, for more love in our own lineages and in the world as a whole.
Mm, beautiful. And how does your partner go with you being, I feel like in the space there's, being with powerful women and polarity, and, I'd love to hear your experience of like how you guys navigate. I'm not sure if he like does he work on his own thing, or yeah, I'm
Yeah.
always curious to know people's dynamics, and because being with a very powerful woman can be, I don't know what it can be. Tell us.
Yeah. Tell us. Yeah,
You tell us before I project onto you what it can be.
should ask Logan as well.
Yeah, I don't know.
So when we were both, take back a couple of years, starting the business, we were both working in corporate, and I wanted to leave corporate to start this business. And I said to Dane, look, I've got this idea, I want to start this business, but I need to quit today. He's like, you can't quit today, we've just bought a house. I'm like, I don't care, I need to quit today. Like, he's like, hey, we talked about it, some heated discussions for the rest of the day. And he said, right, you do it, I'll support us, I'll make sure that we're all good. And a week later, or 2 weeks later after I quit, he got a concussion. So he couldn't work. And so he was off work and we were living on our savings. And it got to this point where our savings were, I'm like, fuck, this is on me. I made this decision. I literally manifested to the universe. I said, I want you to be able to not have to go to work so that we can stay at home every day together, because this is really fun. So of course it was a blessing, which meant I needed to figure out how to make sure that I was providing for the both of us. And in a masculine feminine dynamic, that messes with your intimacy, that messes with your uh, dynamics that you'd previously had. So it took us a couple of years to find our balance again for me to, and I used to do little things around the house. Like I would have my office where I would be in my masculine and my leadership and my still feminine leadership, but you've got your CEO hat on, your entrepreneur hat on, tr- trying to put food on the table. And he was supporting behind the scenes. So he was doing a lot of the tech stuff, a lot of the stuff that I was not good at. He started to build his own thing, but he's like, look, I believe in what you're doing. He doesn't want to be online. He doesn't want to be a personal brand. He doesn't want to be a coach. He's a great leader. He's a great mentor to a lot of people, and this just wasn't his jam. So we partnered up, but it still meant that I was leading, and he's trying to follow my instructions. He's also an alpha, like he's a very strong personality, and he's got these ideas that he wants me to do for my brand. So he's trying to do these things. I don't like his ideas. We think very differently. So it worked for a little while, but about a year ago we separated our roles, and we it's like we got the business, we got the company to a place that it needed to be. Now he is CEO of Sosha, which I'm still a founder of and still involved in on like the creative aspect of that. And he's more the directive energy. And then my personal brand has become, it's interesting because it feels way easier because it's become more, I want to say like a lifestyle brand. Like I'm less focused on it becoming like a company like I'd previously seen when it was us doing everything together. And
Mm.
now so he looks after that. He's really good at managing people. I hate managing a team. He's really good at it. I love having fun. I love creating the vibe. I love connecting with people. So like at our team retreats, I'll be the one that will bring the energy and hold the vision and all this, and he's the one that gives clear direct instructions, like don't that's not my my responsibility. So that dynamic in this new way, it's like we're still teammates and we're still partners, but we're so clear on what our strengths are that I'm not worried about shit that I used to be worried about, and he's like structure and systems, and I can do it, but it's not my forte. Leading the team, hiring, um, and yeah, just thinking in very different ways. So I know that's super generic, and there's so much more that we could go into. So if you've got any questions on that, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love it. I love it because it's, something we've been navigating as well, is how we had the same thing as like, oh, maybe it'll be me, but I think the masculine, well, I'm also mindful, like, of just contemplating that there is, I mean, of course, polarity has to exist, which creates, I do believe that as a whole, but is to move even beyond that into like our genius, um, and how we can really just amplify that. But I do think that there's um, a part within in my relationship dynamic is like allowing him to lead and me trusting him, because I've felt, I've always been the strong, independent boss babe, and him like really stepping into his leadership. So I think there's different elements, but I love that story. And do you find now that he feels like he's really on purpose, and you can really like lean into your genius and your magic as well?
Yeah, for sure. And that practice of how we were doing it, I don't think I finished what I was sharing before. So many things I want to share. But so, like having set up little reminders throughout the house, like if I leave my office and I walk into the lounge, I go from boss to wife. And so, or if I'm in the bedroom, for example, we made a no work in the bedroom rule, and that changed a lot for us. And that just meant that, cool, bedroom, I'm wife. Like that's, we go more than that, but that's, that physical practice, I don't know, technique helped a lot. And it also helped me become, start to feel safe in receiving again, because it for a long time, I don't know if you've gone through something similar, but I feel like a lot of women go through something similar. It's like we actually need to create safety, especially when we've come, if anyone's gone through sexual abuse. You talked earlier about your body holding on to things. I've, I did a tantric mentorship a couple of years ago, and that was a super beneficial thing to do, to teach my body that it's safe to receive, it's safe to let the man lead, it's safe to let him lead. He's safe. You're safe in his arms, you're safe in his energy. He's a safe space for you. And that business flourishes when we can find that dynamic in our marriage or in our relationship.
And I think, I don't know about you, but it's been some of the most tender work because I think most legendary women become this way because of, their shit, their shame, like everything that we faced. We've walked dark nights of the souls, which is also our genius because we have this resilience, this tenacity, this like, but the also I see it too as like a surrendering to God almost as well. It's like I don't have to hold us anymore. And that deep receivership as women who have been deeply hurt, it is some of the deepest work. Do you agree?
Totally. Yeah, totally. And especially, I think on this, like when I look at this, I've done it like from a shamanic perspective as well in the energy realms. It didn't start with us. So what we're carrying is information that's been passed down probably for generations from our feminine or from the woman in our lineage.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be deep, 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 deep work, and also probably the most fulfilling in my experience anyway.
And does that track with like your female lineage, like similar dynamics?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Abusive dad.
yeah.
Did you have abusive partners?
Up until Dane, I did in different ways, either emotionally unavailable, but I was also abusive. Like I was also the one that was punching, that was emotionally abusive, that was manipulative, that was super narcissistic, that was, so I can't just blame, like I was also that person. So yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. So, my love, I want to know what words of wisdom do you have for women who are, you know, legendary women who are looking to be way showers, to live on the realm of innovative business, innovative service, who are stepping into this true service leadership? Like, what would you say to them?
Just fucking do it. Like,
Simple. Profound.
so simple. Don't overthink it. Like, drown out what anyone else says. Like, in your heart of hearts, when you spend time with your soul, with yourself, with God, with the universe, like, you know what to do. You know the next moves. You know what you're here for. And stop letting the excuses or what anyone else is saying be the thing that holds you back, because it's freaking time. Like, you're here. It's time. Do it.
Beautiful. Do it.
Do
Get on
it.
it. Do it. Trust the fucking plan. You've walked through enough bullshit. It's time to actually,
Yeah.
be the one who says she's going to do it.
Amazing. Yeah, you're so amazing. I wish everyone knew how amazing they are.
Thank you, my love. Thank you for being here and sharing your magic with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.